Hello, my name is Julie Teigen. The topic that I chose for my cross-cultural presentation is Jewish wedding traditions in Israel. I chose this topic because I was curious to see how a traditional Jewish wedding differs from weddings that most people in our area consider traditional. Jewish weddings are rich in laws and traditions that date back to the giving of the Torah at Sinai. The community and both families are involved in important traditions that begin a week before and continue a week after the wedding ceremony. Now I will go over a few very important pre-wedding ceremony traditions. The bride and groom do not see each other for a week before the wedding. For this reason, the bride and groom attend separate wedding receptions that are held in their honor. These receptions are held at the same place and time, but in different rooms. The bride has a reception that is attended by her family, friends, and attendants. The room is filled with music while the bride's seated on a throne and her friends dance for her. The groom's reception is for men only and a little more complicated than the bride's. The groom is surrounded by his friends, family, the bride's father, and rabbis. It is a feast filled with lots of food, drinks, singing, and clapping. The most important part of the groom's reception is the completion of the Jewish wedding contract, or ketubah. This document is reviewed by the rabbi to make sure it is completed correctly. The groom then has to accept the contract through a small ceremony with the rabbi that is witnessed by two people that cannot be related to the bride or the groom. Next, the groom is escorted to the bridal reception for the veiling ceremony. This is a very simple ceremony. While the bride is seated on the throne, the groom comes up to her and covers her face with a veil. The groom then returns to his reception. The wedding day is like a personal Yom Kippur for the bride and groom. They both fast before the wedding and repent of their sins. The bride and groom both wear white to symbolize being washed free of their sin before they are joined together to start a new life as one. The wedding ceremony is held outside under a huppah or canopy. This canopy is supported by 4 poles and open on all 4 sides. The bride and groom are both walked down the aisle by both of their parents. The order that they come down is: first the groomsmen come down the aisle, then the groom with his parents. Then the bridesmaids come next, and lastly the bride with her parents come down the aisle. All of the groomsmen stand on the left, and the bride with her bridesmaids will be on the right. The bride's parents do not walk her all the way down the aisle to the huppah. They stop a few steps before and let the bride walk the last couple steps on her own. Her walking the last couple steps on her own is a symbol of her choosing to join the groom in marriage. After the bride and groom are under the canopy, she will walk 7 circles around him. This symbolizes the world being built in 7 days, and so the bride is beginning the building of their new life together. During the wedding ceremony, the groom gives the bride something of value, usually a ring. In traditional weddings, the bride is not allowed to give the groom a ring during the ceremony. She can give a ring after the wedding if she wishes, but not as part of the wedding ceremony. The ring that the groom gives the bride must be plain, solid gold band. If the couple chooses to have a ring with stones in it, they can, but it cannot be given at the ceremony. At the end of the ceremony, the best man places a wine glass wrapped in a white cloth on the floor, where the groom breaks it by stepping on it. Next, the bride and groom may go into a secluded room for a few minutes alone. At this time, they are allowed to eat, breaking their fast. After this brief seclusion, the couple joins their guests at a reception full of food, music, and dancing. At the wedding reception, the men and women are separated by a divider for dancing. They do not dance together in the same room. Every night during the week following the wedding, there are festive meals held by friends and relatives for the bride and groom. In conclusion, I believe that traditional Jewish weddings are very different from weddings that most of us are used to. It seems to me that the groom and the men take a more active role in preparing for the wedding, and the bride's role is more passive. The groom's reception is where the marriage contract is prepared and accepted, while the bride is more for accepting well wishes from family and friends. The men also escort the groom to the veiling of the bride ceremony. In that ceremony, the bride's role is to stay seated and be veiled. The men and women also dance separated by a divider at the wedding reception. Although there are many parts of the wedding that are performed with the men and women together, there is still a large part of the wedding where they are separated.